Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sa Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Chitpadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Sirupam Sagrajatam Sahagna Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadhutam Prijanam Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagna Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanto Radha Kanta Namaste तप्त कंचना गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशकल्पातरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्णा चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे राम संकीर्तन की जय हरे कृष्ण महामंत्र की जय इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य ही दिवाएंगे से प्रभुपाद की जय श्री श्री गुरु एंड गौरंगा की जय सिंबल भक्त वृंद की जय निताई गौर प्रेम नंदी हरि हरि बोल Hare Krishna. So, Manohar Prabhu, do you have something ready that you think you can share, or we should wait for the next class? I did not
Sorry.
get time to go through the information that you shared. But if there is something that we can share, then we can do in the beginning, and then I can get into the class, or maybe we can do at the end. Is it okay?
Yes. Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it will be really nice, because I want something very robust where devotees can do their homework submission. I spoke with the group and they said that we still need some time to work on it. It's basically module 2 based system. So I can maybe use that later. But right now, if you have something that you would like to share, you can go ahead and use. Thank you.
Prabhuji, there's a link shared where we need to upload and everything.
Yeah. We are going to do that.
Oh, you will go in it. Okay.
For now, it's okay to send me email or send me, WhatsApp. But we have to get a system because that way it will be easy for me to go and look at your homework and all of that. Previous batch, everybody was sending me email. Then I would go to my email, download it, and I had a separate folder for each devotee, chapter by chapter. I'll go put everything in that folder with devotee name, and then review it, make the comment. So that might be a little, too much time consuming. So I know that devotees are using a system, module 2 based system. In fact, some of the other devotees who are doing Bhakti Shastri, they all have the similar format. So I'll try to come up with something that uh, we all can use. But before I discuss, I just wanted to share one realization. So I was chanting in front of my deity this morning. And we have issues in our personal dealing. Sometimes we feel like that we are struggling to get into a specific direction. We all have a desire to become a serious soul and avoid all types of contamination that we have. It's very, kind of consistent endeavor that we make. And while we are making that endeavor, introspection is something that we always like doing, where we are, how we stand. So I always try to introspect myself, that what are the things that I need to improve on. Sometimes when I hear some feedback from devotee, also we try to implement that. So all of us, should try to do introspection and improve. What I was 5 years back, I should not be today. What I am today, I should not be 5 years in the future. That has to happen so that we are purifying our consciousness. So in that, introspection, one of the very strong realization that came, that I should not see those in the living being, trying to find fault. When we see people, they have some good quality, they have some bad quality. But when people stand in front of you, are you seeing there is something right that's going on in your mind? Are you seeing that person's good quality, or are you seeing the person's bad quality? We should always try to see the good quality. No need. This is not our duty to look at the uh, faults of the living being. So just wanted to share this. It's just coming very strongly in my mind, and I thought that I'll just share. Okay, so getting back to the discussion that we have in first chapter, Arjun has given 4 reasons to not fight. The first one, he says that how can I fight with my friends and relative, and that is based on bodily compassion, and that has been answered in second chapter from verse number 11 to 30. And then second reason he is giving is that I'm not seeing any enjoyment of fighting, because if I lose my own kinsmen, then whom I'm going to enjoy with? Then third reason he gives, that this is sinful. It's sinful to kill our own people. Why I should do it? And then finally he says that this will lead to destruction of the family traditions, which will ultimately cause Varna Shankara, unwanted progeny, to take birth. And then we started second chapter. I would always, in the beginning, give you some summary of the previous discussion, and then we'll get to the next one so that you can follow. We said that there will be like 5 theme, 72 verses. So 1 to 10 verse where Arjuna is still not clear and he is giving further argument. That part we finished in last discussion. Today we'll try to go from verse number 11 to 30. Gyan and Sankhya, analysis of body and soul. And then 31 to 37 talks about Sakam Karma. 38 to 53 is Kam Karma. And finally, few verses, Krishna is saying that person who has who has been liberated, who has come to the stage of, higher consciousness, Isit Pragya Ka Bhasa, how do they behave, how the Jivan Mukta, the liberated person acts. So content of the Gita summarize this chapter is like content, which means when we look at the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada has given contents and then all the chapters. And then if you want to read a specific chapter, then you go and read about that chapter. Likewise, second chapter talking about almost everything in a very concise format. It talks about Karma Yoga, it talks about Gyan Yoga, and then finally Bhakti Yoga. As also I mentioned that many school of theology, that they think that whatever Krishna had to speak or to Arjun, he already did. So whatever he had to speak, he did already in this particular chapter, and then it was further expanded chapter by chapter. So whichever way you are taking it, it's very important to know that this is a very, very important chapter. So in verse number 2 to 3, Krishna is disapproving Arjun's compassion. And we talked about it, so I'm not going to get into that. And then the main thing that we have to get out of this section is that Arjun is accepting Krishna as his spiritual master. And so far, the talk has been mostly as friends. But here now, Arjun says that now I am your disciple, and the soul surrender unto you. Please instruct me. So this is a very basic foundation, also very basic foundation to start receiving the message whenever we are giving classes or we are talking to the devotees. There is some degree of relation that is established between the speaker and the listener, and not necessarily that relationship is going to be as disciple and a spiritual master, but at least some faith has to be there. If there is no faith built in the communication, then information that we receive is not going to be perceived as it is. In Bhagavatam, first canto, there is quality of a speaker and quality of the listeners are given. Multiple qualities given. It's very important. One of them is that it's very important that have to have relationship built, because the information that's coming is going to come through that relationship, or in other way, impact of the information that we'll have on our consciousness is how we are receiving it. Sometimes, when we hear something from our spiritual master, it becomes our heart and soul. Oh, my Guru Maharaj has said it, and I'll do it. We cannot have the same degree of understanding with all other communication, but there must be some relationship. So here, the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna has been established, which is now Arjuna has taken the role as a disciple. So we'll just have the next section where the first reason of not fighting is been given. Why, or Krishna is trying to answer Arjun why he should fight. Why fighting is very important. And this is Sankhya philosophy, which means analytical knowledge of body and soul. Yes, Prabhu, you want to say something?
Yeah, bro, one thing, like I
Yeah.
was just looking into the previous slide. uh, the point you said that unless and until we have that relationship with the person who's giving us the knowledge of that guru and disciple, we won't
Uh-huh.
have the transfer of knowledge. So I was thinking, I was trying to implement that over here. So in this entire for this Bhakti Shastri course or the entire session, what should be our relationship? Should it be a representative of a guru who is trying to teach us few things, or we all are equals who are trying to share knowledge between each other with whatever understanding we have? What should be a better uh, relationship we should define so that that knowledge gets transferred properly?
Or between me and all of you?
Yeah.
Totally up to you. I mean, we can be like, you and I are more of a friend type of, age. It's totally up to you. Manohar Prabhu is my senior. So totally up to you, how you take it. But that is definitely, subjective. But most of the time, when we are having something formal, at least the relationship is students and teachers relationship. Like, when we were, doing the classes, we all have, respect for our teachers, right?
Hmm.
So at least that, relationship is required.
Okay.
And then, because here is the thing, it's very important question that you are asking. So people, when you are hearing from somebody, someone is going to share their realization. And in order for one to receive as it is, or in order for that information to make impact in your consciousness, you have to have some degree of holding capacity, and that is your relationship. Like, that's why I was saying that if you hear something from a spiritual master, we are holding it like very strongly. My spiritual master has said. So some degree of holding capability has to be there. How you want to hold it, and that totally, your basically call, how you want to handle it. But all of these informations are very, very important, and it has practical implication to our Krishna consciousness. We are doing Bhakti Shastri now only to get the certificate, but also to awaken our consciousness by teaching, by saying the thing again and again. It makes impact on my consciousness. Keep on teaching me, keep on helping me. Likewise, as a hearer, it should also help you to awaken your consciousness. So that's what is the purpose. But how you want to establish the relationship totally depending on listener.
My
So
question was
yeah,
more like what is suggested to have a maximum grasp of information or knowledge or transformation, we call. So,
yeah.
what is your
I know the answer, but I don't wanna.
Yeah.
The reality is that there is a Diksha Guru, there is Shiksha Guru.
Yeah. Okay. Got it.
So there should be so many Shiksha Guru. So any person who is instructing the science of Krishna consciousness
Mhm.
should be considered as a Shiksha Guru.
Okay.
And then from there, basically, we start. And I have so many, Shiksha Gurus. Anybody, whose words touches your heart, anybody's sharing of Krishna consciousness is elevating your Krishna consciousness, that person has been, somehow or other given some, you know, empowerment by Krishna to come in your life and help you awaken your Krishna consciousness. It could be by hearing the classes, it could be by Bhakti Shastri course, it could be by some sort of training. All of these things on a very subtle level, everything is arrangement of Lord. You and I meeting has an arrangement. The relationship that exists between you and I has a meaning. So everything, Krishna consciousness means seeing everything in perspective of Krishna, which means we all have some eternal relationship. We all have come to certain, community, certain society, certain degree of a relationship. It's all because there is some divine arrangement behind. So that's how we see, the person who has helped me in Krishna consciousness. I became, whatever I'm today because of the devotees. So all of the people who have helped me, I never even stand in front of them. I just go down. Yes, there are certain mood, that
Yeah.
we all have to develop, and that is also your own realizations. Krishna as a Chat Guru will teach. So at due course of time, everything will become clear. All we have to do is that just try to for now continue, and it'll come. It'll come. I can see. Oh, I'll just. Is it good, enough, Prabhu, or you wanna
Yeah.
share
Yeah.
something?
No, no problem.
So going back to the point here, Krishna is saying that don't lament for unnecessary. And from here, Krishna's instructions begins. So he says, Aswachyanya sochastavam pragyavadasham bhasase gatasun gatasucham nanu sochanti pandita. Krishna is being here a little heavy. You are mourning for what is not worthy of grief while speaking like a learned man. Pragyavadam shavhashase. Pragya is basically the man who is in knowledge. Pragya is very important word. Pragya vadasya bhashase. You are talking like a learned man. For what? Gata asun gata asucham. something that is not worth lamenting. So what is the cause of lamentation for Arjun here? Because he is very compassionate seeing his relatives. So there are different shastra. Society is being conducted by Arthashastra. And then the ritualistic activity that's being done is by Dharma Shastra. So Arthashastra teaches about economic philosophy, about politics, about sociology. And if you look at from that perspective, then yes, you know, these things are important. The politics are important, the sociologies are important, the economic values are important. But when you look from dharma perspective, then the religious activities are more important than Arthashastra. I have spoken about that rag and dvesh. So material world is being conducted on the philosophy of raga and dvesha. But Dharma Shastra teaches us whatever is good for dharma. Sankalp for dharmasya, whatever is good for dharma, that need to be followed. And something that's not good for dharma, that need to be rejected. So dharma philosophy or dharma teaching is based on acceptance and rejection of certain norms which are in favor of dharma and adharma. Arthashastra more or less talks about the philosophy of rag and dvesha. But Gyan Shastra and Bhakti Shastra, it talks about what is good for one bhakti. So for sure, Gyan Shastra, when we are going to talk in a very analytical way, the distinction between body and soul is important than some dharmic philosophy or some arthic or Rajnitic philosophy. So that has to be understood first. That compassion is there, but compassion may be on the basis of dharmic. Oh, my grandfather or my grandkids. How can I kill them? How can I fight against them? That's dharmic, understanding. But higher than that is basically understanding, which is going to give the technical distinctions. So that has to be understood. When we are going through Bhagavad Gita, there are certain facts that is not going to make sense from our core understanding. But also we have to know that we have to reach out. We have to reach out and we have to try to understand the subject that is being spoken. So you can see here that Krishna uses the word pragya vadash shavasase, vadam shavasase. So you are talking like a learned man, but you are lamenting gatasun gatasucham. You are lamenting for something nanu shuchanti panditaha, something for which a learned man should not lament. I think it's really very important that and we all have some degree of lamentation for certain thing, and maybe the perspective might not be right. So don't lament unnecessarily. All individual exist eternally, and changing bodies are natural. Nato evaham jatu nasham, na tvam neme janadipah, na chayvana bhavishyamah, sarve vayam atah param, na chaiva na bhavishyamah. So there was never a time that I did not exist, nor all of these kings. And there won't be any time in the future where our existence is going to be ceased. That's a powerful statement. So all individual have been existing eternally. Now suddenly see where we are talking. See the lap. How we are right away. Krishna is saying that forget about all of this body. There was not a time that you did not exist. All of these people did not exist, or I didn't exist. All of us have been existing eternally. Now how can we understand that? Right there, here. Dhyasmino yatha dehe kaumaram yonam jara tatha dehantar praptis dhiratasna muhyati. So this is very famous verse. I think I'm sure all of you have been recited this verse multiple times. So dehino asmin yatha dehe kaumar yonam jara. As body is changing from kaumaram to yavanam and finally gets old. All of us are in that process. At least we can recall from school time to, where we are today, and, old age is coming. Likewise, dahino asmi yatha dehe kaumayonam jara tatha dehantar prapti dhiratasna muhyate. Likewise, this soul who is living inside the deha leaves this body and goes to next body. So dhiras tatra muhyati, the person who is sober. And what is the sober? Sober is basically a person who is not impacted by the duality of the material world. A person who is not impacted by the duality is sober. And that person is not going to lament when he sees this transformation of the body. That's why you should try to tolerate the dualities, because the one who is going to tolerate the dualities are qualified to be liberated. Matra sparstu kantaya situshna shukha dukkha agam no nityas tamas titikshava bharata. So this verse itself tells everything. That's all. Very powerful verse. That Matra sparstu kantaya, ocean of Kunti. Senses are experiencing the sense objects. How? Shitoshna shukha dukkha. By changes of weather, we perceive cold and heat. But this appearance and disappearance are non-permanent. That's why tamas titikshava bharata. One must learn to tolerate. Oh, Scion of Bharata. So duality of the material world is perceived by senses. And how much we get impacted by it, by the duality, is how we have awakened our consciousness. There is a word that we normally use, and it's coming from Bhakti Alok, says succumbing. The living being, if they are not awakened in their Krishna consciousness, they get completely, succumbed in, completely sucked in by the material energies, which is conducted by modes of material nature. So this is a very important concept, and that's another point also I wanted to share, is that trying to not too much get your emotion attached with the things that is around you. Otherwise, those things will suck you in. If you are not elevated in your Krishna consciousness, those things are going to suck succumb in. Oh, this Prabhu told me like that. And then whole night my thing is going like that. Oh, I was there, that Prabhu didn't, so many things. My mother said like that, my father said like that, my workplace said like that, my job, those things are there. But 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 if we get succumb into it, if we get sucked into it, then the sole purpose of our existence will be getting lost. And our endeavor should be at each and every moment, Satatam Asmanam Vishnu, all the time, how we can remember Krishna, Vishmartavena Jatashut. In any situation, we don't have to forget. And how that would happen? That would happen only when one is living within themselves. Once you draw yourself and then come within yourself and then in a very calculated way deal with the things that is around you in a very nice way, and you go towards Krishna and take others towards Krishna. But if we ourselves get lost, then there is no way that we can do anything for our elevation, neither we can help others to elevate in their Krishna consciousness. So tamas titikshava bharata, this quality of being tolerant is very, very, very important. Very, very important. That not being too much carried away by things that's happening around. Otherwise, we can never ever focus. We can never, ever pinpointed focus on Krishna. And then he says that yamhi na betantite, betanti, the one who is not crying for it. Purusham purusarvaha samah dukha sukham dhiram sho amritavaya amartavaya kalpate. Amartavaya, the one who never dies. Amarat, Amarat, Amrit, Amaratava. So, O best among the men, the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation. Very important concept. Very, very important concept we are going through. Don't be, and that's why we as a living being are trapped. We had to come to this material world because we had some raga and we had some dosha. In fact, in Patanjali Sutra, there are 5 causes given for our repeated birth and death. The first one is avidya, ignorance, then raga, dvesha, anivesha. So this raga and dvesha, attachment for certain thing, and hatred for certain thing. Both of these are very bad. Too much attachment for things that you like and too much denial of the things that we don't like. By this hatred and by this denial, we get very much entrapped into the emotion. So the one who has conquered it is eligible for liberation. Let's go through some of the other slides, very powerful, and then we'll have some time to discuss and hear your realization. The soul never dies. The body is perishable. So the seer of the truth, Tattvadarshi Bihi, realize that the body is ashat and has no permanent existence. On the other hand, soul is shat and it exists eternally. Na sato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate shatah. Ubhayor api dristo antas Tau Anayos Tattva Darsivihi. Tau Anayos Tattva Darsivihi. The one who is Tattva Darsi, what they have seen. Nasate Vidyate Bhavo. The one that has to be distracted has to be distracted. Na bhavo vidyate shatah. But the one which is eternal would never be distracted. So body, it doesn't matter whatever it is. And at each and every moment, the body is distracting. Bhagavatam talks about pralaya. There are 4 types of destruction. The material world is destructing in 4 ways. And one of the way of the destruction is by time. By time, we are destructing. How to see that? Just pluck one flower, fresh flower. All the petals are fresh, and leave it outside. Come see that flower after 7 hours, 8 hours, 5 hours. You will see all the petals are faded. With time, everything is annihilating. The material, the gross object has to annihilate. So Tattvadarshi Vihi, they know that this body has to annihilate because this is asat, right? Nashato vidyate bhavo. But na bhavo vidyate shatah. But something that is eternal is not going to be destructed. So the soul is indestructible. It's avinashi. The soul pervades the entire body. No one can destroy that imperishable soul. Soul pervades. So our consciousness is due to presence of the soul, and no one can destroy that imperishable soul. And then verse number 18 gives the distinction between material body and spiritual soul. Antwanta ime dehe nitsaya yukta sariranaha anasino aprameyasya tashmad yudhashva bharata. So anantwanta ime deha. At end, at some point, this body, deha, is going to be finished. Nitsaya yukta sarirana. But the one who holds this body, nitsaya yukta saririnaha, the one who is living in the sarira, the person who resides in the sarira, which is soul, is going to be eternal. Anashino, beautiful point. Apramesha, it cannot be measured and it cannot be distracted. Tashmad yudhashva bharata. Therefore, O Bharat, O Arjun, stand up and fight. So body is perishable. Antwanta, at some point at the end time, it's going to be destructed. But nitasya yuktam shariranaha. But the one who is living in the sarira, the residents of the sarira, we live in an apartment, right? So we are, or in a house. So we are the residents of that particular house and particular, apartment. The residents will stay. The person who is residing in the house, that is eternal, in this case soul, but the house will be destructed. So, O Arjun, get up and fight. Why? Because soul does not heal or get healed. Soul does not kill also. Soul is not killing anybody or does not get killed. And then Prabhupada in the purport talks about the size of the soul, which is 1 by 10,000 parts of the tip of the hair. Wow. It is situated within the heart. And what is killed is only material body. Thus, O Arjuna, a soul is neither the killer nor is the object of killing. A soul is neither the killer nor is the object of killing. So clearly you can see Krishna is trying to separate the soul from the body. Something that is for sure to be destructed against something that is never to be destructed. So that distinction is very clear that you are not this body. The body that you hold is supposed to be destructed. But the one who is holding this body, he is eternal, and he or she, whatever you call it, not going to be destructed. Very clear distinction. Separate it out. Soul never dies, but body do undergo these exchanges. Birth, existence, growing, and then producing the child's progeny. Finally start, dwindling, decaying, and then ultimately we see death. So these 6 changes that you are seeing, dahi asmino yatha deham, kamarivanam jara, tatha dehantar praptam, dhirastatna muyati, that change is not for the soul. Soul is not going through this birth and death. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. So this coming and going, sansara saram, this is all the sagar of the sansara. He is not part of it. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. Oh Arjun, no one can kill the soul. How can a person who knows that the soul is indestructible, eternal, unborn, and immutable kill anyone or cause anyone to kill? That's why this is Sankhya philosophy. Very clear distinction between Shat and Ashat, between soul and matter. And then I'm sure all of you might have heard this very powerful verse that changing body is similar to changing clothes. Vasamshi jirnani yatha bihaya. Vasamshi, garment. Jirnani, once it gets old. Yatha bihaya, rejecting. Navani grihanati naro aprani. We take the old cloth. Once it becomes jirna, throw it out. Navani, take the new one. Grihanati, we dharan, we put on our body. Tatha sarirani vihaya jirani anyani shamyati navani dehi. So beautiful. Likewise, tatha sarirani, the one who holds the sarira, vihaya jirani. When body becomes old, the holder of the body leaves this body. Anyani shamyati navani dehi. He enters into a new body. So the soul is transmigrating from old body and getting into new body. Then why you have to worry for this body? Rather, you should know that you are soul. And then there are some qualities. What are some of the qualities of the eternal soul? So we'll just go one by one. Nanam chindanti shastrani. it cannot be cut by shastra, by weapons. Nanam dhati pavaka, it cannot be burnt by pavaka, fire. Na chanyam kledyanti apo, it cannot be wet, moistened by water. Na shushati maruta, it cannot be withdrawn by maruta, by wind. Achedayo yam adhyayo yam, achedayo, something that can be broken. It cannot be also cannot be broken into pieces, and it cannot be also burned. Soul also cannot be broken. It's not like that from one soul, two soul will come. Niyah akledyo shoshayevacha. Akledyo, it's immovable and eternally the same. So here, immovable means when body is going through the 6 changes, this transmigration of the body, soul is not going through any of this change. It's staying as it is, eternally the same. Niha sarva gata shantu, everlasting, exists and ever existing and unchangeable. Achalo yam sanatanaha, achalo, immovable and eternally the same. Avyakto yam achintayo yam, avyakto, imperceptible and inconceivable. This is a very important point, by the way, that avyakto. So sometimes, when we talk why we are talking about becoming, Krishna conscious, right? What is the importance of Krishna consciousness? Well, this is certain thing that is not easy for our gross intelligence to perceive. The quality of soul cannot be perceived by our gross intelligence. Abhyakto yam achinto yam. It cannot be conceived by gross intelligence. So what type of intelligence you need? Shastra, Guru Shastra Sadhu Vakya, Tineta Kariyakya. To understand the soul as it is, one has to align their life with the instructions that's given by Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. And then by that, Chakshu, it says that, the Gyan Chakshu. Gyan Chakshu will help one understand this inconceivable, imperceptible knowledge of soul. Avikaro yam uchyate. Avikaro. There is no vikara. Tashmad evam vidhit venam. Knowing it to be thus, knowing it to be as all of this quality that we have just mentioned about, nanush chitam arhashi. Unnecessarily, you should not be grieving about it. Rather, get up and fight. So very clear distinction so far has been given about body and soul. Okay, I'll give some time and let's hear if there is any doubt or anything else before I get into the next set of discussion. Anybody has anything that they would like to share? By the way, these things, that's what we talk. In fact, any a lecture, it could be very advanced lecture. Everything we talk about, but finally, we conclude saying that we are not this body, right? Chant the name of Krishna. We are not this body. You will see most of the classes concludes this point. We are not this body. His Holiness Najuna Sai Maharaj was here. Maharaj is, gave 4 or 5 classes. In every class, Maharaj keep on saying, only when he just made this point again and again from different example, that we are not this body, and take the name of Krishna. Chatudapna marjanam va mahadavagni nirvapanam sirah kairava chande kavitanam vidyavadu jivanam anandam buddhivardhanam patipadam purnamrita swadanam saratam sanapanam param vijate Sri Krishna sankirtanam. So this Chatudapna marjanam va mahadavagni nirvapanam, this Chatudapna has to happen. So take the name of Krishna. That's why I highlighted that thing. Avyaktoyam achintayam. It's not going to be perceive. It's not going to be conceive. All of that we have gone through, but still there is a gap of the statement that's being made versus perception that we have developed about that statement. But due course of time, that will reveal. Okay, so I'll stop talking and then I'll see what that is. Santa Mataji, what you would like to share?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are hearing this. Yes, we are not body, we are soul. And we need to detach from emotions. Right? I think these are some of the statements normally we hear, right? Now my
You
question
continue,
is,
Mataji. Yeah, you finish your question, then we'll
yeah.
talk.
Now my question is like, normally we are currently, of course, we are not this body, but whatever we are getting, I mean, we consume everything, or I can say like this. So in a life, like we are getting these emotions, and through the emotions you will move on. Like suppose if you feel happy, like suppose if you are doing something and I'm getting happy, and that's where maybe we may getting motivation to move further. Suppose if I'm, because that's what sometimes I experience. Suppose we are completely detaching. Okay, I need to do this. Okay, I'll do. I need to do this. I'll do. So this type of thing makes maybe of course makes me like in a position where I'm not enjoying anything. I mean, I'm not feeling enjoyment. Maybe we need to get a stage where we need to enjoy whatever we are doing, but sometimes it may take time, right? Because as we people says that okay, with the associations and all, we may experience those things, but from this state to that state there is a gap. Of course we don't get immediately, right? So from this state to this there is a gap, and that's where how we can move on with these things.
Nothing. I mean, Prabhupada said, what is the problem? So nothing. Don't worry don't try to detach artificially. Don't try to also force yourself in a specific way, which you right now not ready to take. All you have to do is that make your endeavor whatever you can to chant name of Krishna, eat prasadam, associate with like-minded people. And some of these things we cannot, our society, our philosophy, one of the very important point about our philosophy is that it doesn't really teaches living being to artificially renounce anything. Like, you would see in some other school of theology. Rather, we try to basically transfer. We try to use it in a different way so that slowly and slowly, slowly and slowly, slowly and slowly, it will transfer to the standard that you want to get at. So eat prasadam, enjoy as much as you can. Last night we had kirtan, we had a lot of enjoyment, and don't unnecessarily, try to curse yourself. That's not the point here. And you very well said that there is a gap. Seeing that gap itself tells me that you are advancing. In the gross life, we don't see any gap. We don't. There is, the whole material life is based on the concept of Vishaya Sangraha. And Vishaya Sangraha is oriented towards sense enjoyment. But now you are saying that there is some standard, I'm here, That's all. That itself is very good sign, Mataji. And don't worry, don't unnecessarily try to force yourself for anything that you are not ready to take. But at the same time, you know, just take the example of your son. He is kindergarten, then he will go to elementary school, then he will go to high school, then he will go to college, then he will be PhD, then he will be expert in a certain field, right? That is a logical progression that comes one after another. Okay, so I can't imitate like how Srila Prabhupada did. Prabhupada did. I can't do like what my spiritual master or your spiritual master or somebody else's spiritual master is doing, but they are doing it. They are the perfect example. But did they get there right away? No. We are reading Friday and Saturday Prabhupada Lilamrita. Prabhupada's Lilamrita is a critical example that how evolution of consciousness, how devotee go through all different types of challenges and ultimately becomes his divine grace Prabhupada. That's a very critical example. So the challenges that you are seeing in your life, and if you are seeing some gap, that's very good. But not to be frustrated, not to be, you know, cursing yourself too much, rather happily enjoy and continue. Continue slowly and slowly, slowly and slowly at the course of time. You yourself will be strengthened up. Your consciousness will help you. The substance that you will become, that will help you to get where you want to get at. For now, Mataji, whatever you are doing, I see you. You are part of so many services that you are doing. Keep it up. Keep it up. Continue with Bhakti Shastri. Hear this thing. Try to understand the gap where we are, where we have to be, and then slowly and slowly everything will be okay. Is anything else that you want to say, Mataji?
No, Prabhuji. Yeah,
Thank you.
of course, there is a confusion, but
Yeah. Don't be confused. Don't be confused. And there are process. Okay. Just take that process with faith. Shraddha is very important. Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Anarth Nivriti. Right? Nistha. Then slowly and slowly, slowly and slowly, slowly and slowly, bhava and prema. So this 9 stages of bhakti that is being given, the very first one is Shraddha. Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya. So do some of these things, have, put some faith in the process, then associate with devotee, chant name of Krishna, do some services. That's all. Confusion, confusion is basically coming. Maybe you think that, oh, this is something difficult, I can't make it. You will make it. You will make it for sure. I can tell you that you will 100% make it. You will become a powerful devotee. Nothing to worry. So please don't have any samsaya. Okay, Mataji?
sure, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Prabhu, you want to say something?
Yeah, bro. Actually, from verse number 1 to verse number, I think 15.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I was just looking into like how Krishna, how much Krishna loves or has compassion on Arjuna, because the first verse itself he says like from where this kutastam, like from where this
Yeah.
impurities have come. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so it's like how a father says, "What are you doing?" Something like that, right?
Yeah.
So that then he goes much more harsher and calls Krishna as Klebyam. So for a Kshatriya who has never tasted defeat, to call him impotent, that is so harsh. And then in verse number 15 he's calling Arjuna as Purushashrabha. So he is like glorifying Arjuna and calling his like sometimes when a person, a spiritual master loves you, he calls your good qualities and tries to inspire that you already have that quality, so follow it. So I was just thinking how much Krishna loves. He's trying each and every method to bring Arjuna back on track, to make him understand. So I was just contemplating on that again and again.
Good point.
How much he does, how different methods he's trying to convince
Right.
Arjuna.
Right. So sometimes to remove the impurity, they say that antara hat sahar de bahar mare chot. So the parents, that's what the parents do, like they are not getting up in the morning. You have been, getting up. Why? What happened today? Get up, get
Yeah.
up. You always get up. What's happening today? Okay, 5 minutes, take 5 minutes, but get up. The bus is coming. So yes, like parents. Krishna is, aham bij pradapita. So Krishna is the real father. Krishna is the real father. So yes. Okay, thank you, Prabhu. Anybody, anything else that they would like to share before we ask Manohar Prabhu to share his screen and walk us through?
Prabhuji, I had a
Yes,
question.
Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, please.
So you said that the body, the physical body is going to change. It is not eternal. The subtle body is eternal, and soul, of course, is eternal. So the intelligence means the subtle body means intelligence, false ego,
And
and
mind.
mind, right? So this gets at death, point of death, it gets transferred from one body to another. So if it is also eternal, it's as good as soul. Can you please expand on that? I mean, because we can better understand if because in 7th chapter it says that 7.4 it says that mind, intelligence, false ego is also bhinna
Subtle.
prakriti.
Yeah.
So how can we understand this, that it's eternal?
Yeah. So, Prabhu, thus mind, so we have gross existence and we have subtle existence, and then soul. So let's understand theory way. Gross intelligence or gross existence, right, which is body, or 5 Chiti Jala Pava Gagana Samira. These 5 gross elements we are made up, right? And
Yes.
then there is subtle, mind, intelligence, and false ego, and then the soul. Okay. So gross body, gross existence has to be purified. And once gross existence are purified, then we start purifying mind, intelligence, and false ego. A person who has not worked on their purification, their mind, intelligence, and false ego will be, very much outcome of the raga and dvesha, right? So, so when we leave the body, go from one body to another body, the subtle intelligence, the soul carries the subtle intelligence, because souls have some propensity, some degree of attachment with the things of the material world. So soul will carry that mind, intelligence, and false ego, and all the desires the soul has is now very much concised, which is carried by mind, intelligence, and false ego, and then gives a different body. Now, mind, intelligence, and false ego, these are subtle, but these are not eternal. Gross for sure, has to be purified, but don't think that when we use the word subtle, is subtle, but it's not eternal. So when living beings, gross intelligence, mind, intelligence, and false ego is purified, then soul becomes liberated. Liberated means the soul is no longer, and please, carry this or make a note. Soul is no longer carrying the subtle intelligence. So gross has to purify. Then if the subtle has not purified, then soul will be carrier of the subtle intelligence to give the facility for the living being to enjoy. And in the process of bhakti, when we become pure devotee, anyavilasita sunyam gyan karmadi anaviritam anukulenu krishna anusilnam bhakti uchyate or uttamam. So once we become uttama bhaktya, then this mind, intelligence, and false ego will purify. And once it purifies, then soul then leaves it. Then once the subtle has purified, that's also another definition of the liberation. Mukti hitva sararupena vyavasthita. What is mukti? Sararupena. Mukti hitva sarupena. Whatever designation we have rejected it. And swarupena vyavastita. When soul has fully and formally situated Jivara Swarup hai Nitya Krishna Das. The soul has formally and fully situated in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, all other designation, all other identity, mind, intelligence, and false ego is also identity. I'll give big class. And then at the end of the class, I will say, Prabhu, but don't forget, I'm this. I have that caliber. That's coming from there. Okay. So Prabhu, this process of refinement is, once we really start meditating on it, you can see that still as a devotee, how many things are, coming from all directions. So this mind intelligence and false ego shuttle. Once it purifies, then finally soul become liberated.
Sure.
So this is the process. Prithu Maharaj very nicely in Bhagavatam talks about it, to his citizens. He gives that instruction. So yes, what you're asking is very important. But shuttle also gets, purified. At some point, shuttle will get purified. And once that's purified, then we are fully situated in our real identity, which is serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Coming to the point where we understand that, I'm a soul, there are multiple layers that we have to peel off. The very first layer is the gross identity. I'm this, I'm that, I'm man, I'm women, I'm Indian, I'm American. These are all the gross identity. Then after that, the subtle ones have to be peeled off. Once everything is peeled off, then all you are is a perfect soul. Does it help, Prabhu? Or
Yes, yes, Prabhu. So what I am understanding is this. If we take the mind intelligence false ego, I mean, there is a pure and an impure part of it. So the impure part, when the impure part is shed off, that pure part remains, and that helps in the soul's liberation. Um,
So
right? I mean,
can I add
so
a comment on
yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So generally in Shastras, this Nitya or Shashwata, many acharyas use this same word in different contexts, and many times it is more relative. So what explanation I heard for this particular question, I'll try to share that. So first of, if we talk about this gross body, this body, the limit of this body is for this particular lifetime. That's why we call it as a temporary. But when we say, if we talk about the entire eternity, the mind intelligence and false ego or ego, whatever we have, that is for each material body, the same mind intelligence and ego will be transferred. So when you move from one body to another body, you lose this gross body, but you don't lose mind intelligence and false ego. That three items you carry from one body to another. That's why many a times we all, even sometimes even as a child, we have some trauma, we have some depression, we have few things we remember, we even if we don't remember the situation, but we still are afraid of few things. So that is because that mind for intelligence and false ego has the impression of previous lifetimes. That's why even though we don't have that gross body, but still we have those impressions. So that as compared to those gross body, these three things are eternal, because you carry from one lifetime to another. But when you go back to the spiritual world, at that time you have to shed these three items also. This mind, this material mind, material intelligence, and false ego won't be carried out to spiritual world. So that's why if we see about that Brihad Bhagavatam pastime, where Gop Kumara goes back to spiritual world, at that time for him, he feels that he just left off for some time and he's coming back over there. He doesn't remember what has happened to him in the material world for so long, because he doesn't carry on that mind intelligence and false ego which he carried in the material world.
interesting.
So Manohar Prabhu, yeah, Prabhu, good point.
Yeah,
So
very
Manohar
good.
Prabhu, are you trying to say that, if I understand, you are saying that mind intelligence and false ego has two segment, two department. One is pure and one is impure.
Mhm.
And you are trying to ask that when we are going back to home, back to Krishna, we are going, the soul is going with the pure mind intelligence and false ego, but the impure part is gone.
Yeah, that's how I'm
So,
understanding.
so that means the mind intelligence and false ego is eternal, right?
Yes, yes,
The
yeah.
subtle intelligence and gross intelligence, both of
Mm,
these intelligence are ashat.
mhm.
It's material element, and it has to be dropped out. Yes, when the subtle intelligence purifies, right? When it purifies, then it merges into the identity of being the soul. So there is some degree of separation, right?
Mhm.
Right? The separation between soul and body. Just put it that way, right? So
Mhm.
that separation has to, converge. You start very wide
Mm,
as a bishaya, as a person who is basically just enjoying the senses, and then it starts, as consciousness evolve, it starts converging. At the end of the day, all other material designation will go away, and only the identity as a soul, who is servant of Krishna, will remain. Everything else is ashat, and
mhm.
false intelligence will go at the last for sure. But when false intelligence will purify, mind intelligence and false, when these three are purified, then you are formally situated yourself as a soul. There is nothing remaining after that. That's what I say. All remaining is a you who is eternally servant of Krishna.
Okay. One more question, Prabhu. You
Yes, Prabhu,
mentioned about
please.
four types of destruction, and you mentioned one of them, which is time. What are the others?
You want to see that? Let me pull out the slide, okay? Give me 1 minute, okay, Prabhuji?
Yeah, yeah.
Since you ask about it, just give me 1 minute. I'll have to bring that out. That way I can help you understand. 1 minute, please.
Time I am. Krishna says, I am the destroyer.
Yeah. So at the time I destroy everything, right? Krishna is saying that. Let me see if I have so many, presentations that, let me see if I'm at the right one. Since you are asking, I would like to show you some reference, and yeah, I got it right here. Are you seeing this screen, Prabhu?
We are seeing your PowerPoint with chapter 2.
Okay, so I have to, I stop share now. Now are you seeing something? New share, not
Coming up.
data.
It's coming up, not yet. Oh, yeah, I can see that.
Are you seeing this screen?
Yes.
Okay, so there are 4 types of parlaya. The first one is called Namitika parlaya, cyclic destruction, and that happens at end of every kalpa. Now this is a little advanced. That was not the scope of this discussion. So we'll have to basically get into the kalpa. In one kalpa, there are so many Divya Yuga. In one, Divya Yuga, there are so many personality who comes. But kalpa is basically, end of the Brahma's day. And at that time, there is partial destruction happening. So for that, we have to understand all that 3 Vishnu's form, which are basically Garbhodakshai Vishnu, Chiyodakshai Vishnu, Karnodakshai Vishnu, and then some some part of, basically Srishti, how the Srishti comes into existence. So partial destruction happens at the end of Brahma. What happens, like, we have an office. We go to office, we work, and then at the end, we close the door, and whole night it just says like as it is, and the next day you go and join. So the building is there, but the office is closed. So partial destruction happens. And in that destruction, basically, the material world will be annihilated and all the living being will get into the body of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. Anyways, I don't want to get into details of that. The second one is Prakritika Parlaya, which is elemental annihilation. And that is the annihilation happens when Brahma's life is completely over. So 100 years of the Brahma's life, that when that comes, the whole material world, okay, is going to be annihilated. And everything goes in the body of Karnodakshai Vishnu. And then Karnodak will stay inside for next creation to happen. And then the third one is Atyantika Parlaya, ultimate annihilation. And that when Jiva's identity has completely destroyed. So you can be part of Nemitika time frame, or you could be part of Prakritika time frame, which means the lifespan of Brahma or one day of Brahma. Okay, so we living being are part of any, we might be at the end of the Brahma's day, at the beginning of the Brahma day, at the end of the Parlaya, at the beginning of the Parlaya. But in a lifespan, if we engage in the process of bhakti, right? This lifespan, if we engage ourselves in the bhakti and become pure devotee, then at least our existence in the material world will be finished. And then we'll go back to home, back to Krishna. That is Atyantika Parlaya, the final, destruction of the material identity of the living being. That's what you were a little bit, talking. And then the fourth one is Nitya Parlaya. Nitya Parlaya is basically constant annihilation, which is happening, at every moment. And the example is given that when flower is dry, it changes from, from fresh flower to a faded, dry petal. So that's happening with time. Okay, so these are the four different type of parlaya. And I also do Bhakti Vaibhav course. So I talk about some of these in Bhakti Vaibhav course. But for now, I would just tell you these names which are present in 12th canto and 4th chapter. So you can go and study more about these things. But these are the four parlayas.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you. That was very comprehensive.
Yeah. Yes, Prabhu. And in order for us to understand what is Naimitika Parlaya, we'll have to understand Canto 1 and 2. Srishti. How the Srishti comes, and then there are, basically a spiritual world, then there is material world. In material world also there are, hellish planet, and then the Bhumandala, and then higher planet, Bhuvar Loka, Swar Loka, Mahar Loka, Tap Loka, Jan Loka. So when we are saying Naimitika Parlaya, we are saying partial destruction. Partial destruction means anything that is below Bhu, Bhuvar, and below these three loka, Sat Loka, Tap Loka, Jana Loka, these three loka, anything below is going to be destructed. But still, Lord Brahma abodes, stays. Dhruvas, there is a Vaikuntha on the Earth planet also, where Dhruv Maharaj resides. That's in the Earth planet. That never get destructed. So some of that part will stay, and anything before will be destructed. But when Brahma life ends, then the whole planets from top to down, all of them get destructed. And then it goes back to the body of a Karnodakshai Vishnu. When partial annihilation happen, it goes to the body of Garbhodakshai Vishnu. But living being at any point, if they engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then they can get liberated. And that liberation is also one type of annihilation for the body, for the gross existence. And finally, with time, we all are annihilating. Okay, but good questions. I'll try to.
Thank you.
Anything else? So it's already 9:51. You want to do it next class, Prabhuji? When you want to do it?
Yeah, yeah. The thing is, I have some problem with screen share,
Okay.
but maybe I can go with you on and show you both
Uh-huh.
from a teacher's point of view and from a student's point of view. How so I was able to go to this let me see if I can share, Prabhu,
Yeah,
quickly.
yeah, yeah. Devotees, whoever would like to stay, you can stay if you have something urgent. Because this is Prabhu is working on a Google College, and he has, a format of how we can submit the homework and all of that, so that I can see the homeworks. And I want to find the standard way of doing it, so that it's kind of a little bit easier on me. So yes, Prabhu, if you like, please go ahead. Or if you want, we can do it next class also. Whatever works with you.
Yeah, I mean, I basically want to show you so that you are comfortable using it, and
Okay.
then we can share with others. That was my thought process. And plus, I have some problem with this computer. I'm not able to
Okay.
share my
Okay. So
screen.
we'll do it later. Anybody has anything else that they would like to share? Padmakar Prabhu, are you okay? Hare Krishna, Padmakar Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Yeah, Prabhu. I'm okay. Right now, sorry, I was not on the full attentiveness because all my brother's kids, everyone, there are 8, 10 kids at home. So serving them, just a glimpse of the kids here. Say Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Oh,
Hare Krishna. All the kids are having fun, huh? Kids are kids.
yeah.
Nice, nice.
So
Thank
yeah,
you. Yeah, I can see them. Yeah. Woo! Nice. Hare Krishna. Very good. Very
and here
good.
are all of other kids here.
Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Done what- Yeah,
Thank you,
yeah, Prabhu.
Prabhu.
So yeah. So unfortunately, like I was on and off, but yeah, I was on the headphone and listening through those as well.
Okay.
Like Jaiva Mataji as well on.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Where's the
Hare
group?
Krishna.
Camera?
Bina Mata, do you have anything?
Yeah.
Are you home or you are somewhere else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. We are
Hare Krishna.
listening, but we are
Hare
doing
Krishna Mataji.
multitasking, Prabhu. Sorry for today.
No problem.
Because
Thank you.
kids were hungry and they asking for the food. So I'm just listening. they not allow me to pay attention only for the class. So I just
Yeah, they want food.
yes, but Prabhuji, because it's gonna be 11 o'clock. So we just keep headphone in our ear and we just listening and making a cooking also, Prabhu.
Thank you. Dandavad. Very nice. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry,
also,
Prabhu.
We'll
No
go through the
problem.
record and then come back again. If
Yes, yes. Please keep it
Okay.
up. It's very important.
Yeah.
We have to have some Shastric study. Thank you.
Yeah. Sure,
Hare
sure.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Happy Diwali to all.
Happy Diwali to everybody. Yes, thank you. Yes, Bina Mata, you were saying something?
No, Prabhuji, I'm just trying to absorb everything that you're
Yeah,
saying.
I'm going to be a little slower until I find out that everybody is ready to, I'll be surprised that in the first batch, I taught one chapter in one class. So I'll go a little slower until I find out that, I have a good grasp. It's, a little bit, kind of both parties, you and all of you, myself and all of you have to work together to make sure that first we set up a good traffic. My frequency, your frequency has to be. So that's what I'm trying to gauge, that where I can, how much I should talk, where is all of this I'm trying to figure out. Once I figure it out, once I have that, then, we'll have pretty good communication. Manoj, if you want to stay on the call, you and I can talk a little bit about that.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you. And happy Diwali to everybody. So nice seeing all of you. We'll meet next Sunday. At least until Sunday, we'll have this time and then we'll discuss.
Yeah.
Vanchkalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhyayavasya patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavyo namo namah. Symbol Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Dandvat pranam to everybody. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Everyone, happy Diwali.
Hare Krishna. Happy Diwali. Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, what time is the Govardhan Puja?
Are you coming today?
I think I might be able to come. Yeah.
6 o'clock.
Oh,
But you can
6
come.
o'clock?
Yeah, but you can come little early. Let me look at the. Let me look at the schedule, Mataji. It's happening. Yeah, so 5 to 5:30 Kirtan, 5:30 to 6 we have lecture, and then 6 to 6:30 Aarti. So if you can get there by 5:30, that'll be nice, latest.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Bol. Okay.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Manohar Prabhu.
So, Prabhu, yesterday, I mean, today morning, I was able to easily create a classroom using Google's Google. What is that called?
Google College.
Yeah, yeah, the Google Classroom. Yeah.
Or Google
So,
Classroom. Okay.
yeah, and it is very polished product, and it is free. And I
Yeah.
was able to create a class, uh, um, and then assign home assignment, and then able to as a student I came in through another email, and I was able to upload my assignment. So I think that is at least one feature I was concerned of, which I wanted to solve. So that I was able to do, and it appears to be very nice, and it's supported by Google. So all we need is the email addresses so that we can send invitations, and or I think it produces a class code and people can join using their email ID. So
Yeah. So I'm at your web page pressing the link. So if you like, I can share my screen and you can little bit.
yes,
I
yes,
can share
I
my.
can guide you through. I can guide you through. Yes, yes.
Okay. So let me share the screen.